Hey there, and welcome. So you've just unboxed your brand new NeuroMax, and you're probably looking at all the pieces thinking, where do I even start? Well, you are in exactly the right place. In this quick guide, we're going to walk through the hardware setup step by step. We'll turn that box of wires into a fully functional system in no time.
Look, we get it. Setting up new equipment can feel a little overwhelming, but our whole goal here is to get you from the box to fully operational as smoothly and as easily as possible. So, let's get started.
So, here's our game plan. First, we'll identify all the main parts. Then, we'll take a quick tour of the ports on the back. After that, we'll connect the power, then the head box, attach any extras you might have, and wrap it all up with some final checks. Simple as that.
Okay, let's dive right into section 1. First things first, we need to make sure we have all the key pieces of the puzzle right in front of us. Okay, so here are the standard components you should have, straight from the manual. Let's do a quick checklist, all right? You should see the NeuroMax main unit itself, the electrical stimulator, the acquisition head box and its cable, and of course the power transformer. Just take a second to make sure you've got all those pieces in front of you. All good? Great, let's keep going.
All right, next up, let's get friendly with the main unit. Think of this as the brain of the operation, the central hub where everything plugs in. Knowing your way around the back panel is absolutely crucial.
First things first, right? The unit needs power to do anything. So the very first port we're going to look for is labeled J6. This is the big one, the most critical connection to get right from the start.
Now, you might notice the port is also labeled XFMR connector. That's just the technical name from the system schematic. It's short for transformer, which is a great way to confirm, yep, J6 is definitely the right spot for the power supply.
Okay, with power identified, our next stop is the data connection. This is where all those important patient signals are going to come into the system. So go ahead and find port J4.
Just like the name says, the headbox connector is the main gateway for all your acquisition hardware. You know, every single signal you're going to be looking at comes right through this beefy multi-pin port. It's kind of like the handshake between your patient setup and the main unit. So the last two ports we really need to point out are for any external gear you might be using. If you want to use a bigger monitor for your display, or maybe hook up a printer for reports, you're going to need to know about J1 and J12.
And here's a closer look at both of them. J1, that's your classic 25-pin parallel port for a printer. And J12 is that 15-pin VGA connector you've probably seen a million times for an external monitor. Both of them are pretty standard connections, so no surprises there. Okay, now that we know what's what, it's time to actually plug something in. We're going to start with the most important one, power.
All right, powering this thing up is super simple, just 3 steps. First, go ahead and locate that port J6 we just found. You're going to firmly connect the cable from the transformer right into it. Now, step 2, and this one's really important for safety, double check that the main power switch on the unit is off before you do anything else, okay? And finally, step 3, take the transformer's cord and plug it into a properly grounded electrical outlet. You definitely want to use a grounded outlet because that's what protects the gear and keeps your signals clean.
So, we've got the power cable in place, but remember, the unit is still switched off. Now let's connect our main data line, the acquisition head box.
So, grab the acquisition cable coming from your head box and just carefully line up the pins with port J4. Push it in there nice and firm. Getting a secure connection right here is so important for preventing any signal loss and making sure you get clean, reliable data.
All right, fantastic. The core components are all hooked up. Now, let's talk about connecting any of those optional peripherals you might want to use.
So, are you planning on printing reports directly from the device? Or maybe you want to work with a bigger desktop monitor? If the answer is yes, then this next part is for you.
This little table is your cheat sheet. It's super straightforward. Just match your device, printer, or monitor to the right port. J1 for the printer, J12 for the monitor. Grab the right cable, plug it in, and you're good to go.
We are on the home stretch now. All the cables should be plugged in. The very last step before we flip that power switch is to do a quick but really important final check of everything.
You know, the service manual really says it best, and this is a critical piece of advice. Before you even think about turning it on, just take a second to double-check that every single connection is snug and secure. Seriously, a quick check right now can save you from big headaches later on.
So let's run through a final mental checklist here. You got your power supply plugged into J6? Check. Headbox connected to J4? Check.
Any peripherals you're using are connected. Check. And most importantly, just give each cable a little gentle tug to make sure it's secure. If everything feels solid, you are ready to go.